Whether you'd admit it or not, I think people see your name attached to a project and they get really excited about it.
I'm glad to hear that, because what I do is very pure. You know what I mean? It's like there's no like strings attached as far as monetary, financial gain. So I'm glad that occurs.
Nice. So where are your roots? How did you get involved in the Pittsburgh music scene in the capacity you're involved in it?
I was born in Pittsburgh. I grew up here. I was always a fan of music. About 15 years ago, 14 years ago, I decided to, my hobby would be to go to shows and document them, and because I was always still going to shows, and that's how that started, this Hugh Shows thing.
And for a hobby, I mean, it's really well established. It's not just sort of a flattery to say to you that it's like Hugh Shows as a show is taken very seriously.
Yeah.
Any of your productions are taken very seriously, and then of course you have Deutschtown Music Festival, which is still sort of top dog.
Yeah,
with the festivals.
I mean, it's just grown into something that's like, even with Deutschtown, it's a pure do-it-yourself thing, and it's the Deutschtown Hugh Shows thing. I work really hard at it. You know what I mean? But I support people without any ulterior motive. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why I've been able to do it, and I've been able to keep growing it. You know what I mean?
How long ago did Deutschtown start?
Deutschtown started 6 years ago. And I couldn't, I've been friends with, there's two founders, Cody Walters and Ben Soltesz, and they just started it as something to promote in their community of Northside, Deutschtown. And the first year I couldn't do it, second year I couldn't do it, help them out, because I've known Ben for longer than that. And then the third year I hosted a show, a stage at Wickle Whiskey for the Deutschtown Music Festival. And then right after that, they asked me to be the band coordinator for next year. And I said, yeah, I think I can do it. So I've been doing that for 3 years.
So this is, to me, an interesting question for a promoter, even though it's so gauche for artists. Like, who are your influences? Who are, people who influence you either artistically or in life?
You mean in what I do or anything in my life?
Just anything, like people who you would look to as like touchstones for the reasons that you do what you do.
Basically, I don't want to say like Jim Marshall is a concert photographer. I don't want to say him. I just, anybody who, I keep going back to this because this city is small, and so people know of other people's reputations, and I know of other people's reputations and what promoters are, and I am a promoter, but I'm not like a scumbag promoter who's just in it for the business. And I've seen that, and I've seen people treat artists like horribly. So I've always steered clear not to do that. So it's just like this organic thing that's happening, and it is happening, and it is evolving. Instead of having an influence, I know who not to take a cue from, in a way. You know what I mean? And, it'd be stupid of me to just say who they are, but people know.
Learning by example.
People know who to avoid in this town, and sometimes you can't, but sometimes you do,
Yeah, those cautionary tales get a lot of traction.
They do. They get a lot because it's a small town and people talk, and I don't want my reputation to be, in the mud, because it can easily be. You know what I mean?
No, I think in addition to that, I've seen you, and this is just from a purely personal perspective, you've definitely taken a proactive approach in being collaborative. You're not very competitive. I've been involved with the Millville Music Festival.
Right.
Like, you'll go to other people's shows,
Right.
other people's festivals, and there definitely seems to be a sense that you're about bringing the scene as a whole up.
And supporting each other, and I learned that. I saw that example with the musicians. Like, I would go to shows all the time, and there would be so many musicians, other bands in the audience, for supporting the bands on stage. It just blew my mind, and I see that everywhere in Pittsburgh. And there's little cliques always anywhere, but that's the kind of thing I want to support, is helping other people out, not for my benefit, but for everyone's benefit, for their benefit. Because I just think that just brings me up in a way. It brings all of us up, you know?
And so that sounds to me like that's more or less your take on the Pittsburgh music scene. Or, So, I mean, have you seen it change over the years, for better or for worse?
I just seen it grow. I mean, better or for worse. Is it better that there's so many bands, or is it worse? You know, you could make an argument for both. Like, there's so many bands, and so it's beautiful that we can go out and see any good band every night of the week. But then, you know, people are competing for those audience members. So a lot of these shows might be, you know, less attended because of that. So, you know, to encapsulate all of it in a broad stroke is like hard to do. But you know, I certainly love it. You know, I love the scene. Awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected in Deutschtown. So. In wrapping up, just tell us whatever upcoming projects or anything you want to plug. Obviously the festival,
sure,
but anything.
Yeah,
anything
as
else?
we talk about, this might not be time sensitive, but I'm still doing the TV show. We're doing a holiday special for December. We're filming it next week. We have like 15 bands doing holiday music, and it's pretty... And what I like about it, it's like not your ordinary holiday show, in that we're being very, we got punk bands coming in, we got like psychedelic bands coming in, we got folk bands, you know, acoustic, we have you know, it's just going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that. And then we have Deutschtown July 13th and 14th. We have now we have 350 bands over 55 stages over 2 days. Yeah, I just did the count this morning. 350 bands. I mean, come on. You know, it's like nuts. But it's awesome. It's really nice to be able to expose people to all those bands.
Yeah. Now, I know you're not in it for the money, but do you have anything that the good folks watching this episode of Mr. Bones Knows can purchase? Anything that you want, any product or service you want to draw their attention to?
Well, no, I don't. I don't have anything to sell right now. It's funny with the TV show. Like I could use sponsorship just to pay the bands. That's all. I'm not going to make any money off of it. So we're trying to think of ways to like get the product in December. Like maybe have a showing at a movie theater, and you know, sell tickets so I can pay the bands.
Yeah. So where can people find the show online or elsewhere?
Yeah, if you Google Hugh Shows, Hugh Shows, I mean, it's on YouTube. The show's 28 episodes are going to be on YouTube. They're on YouTube, PCTV, on the PCTV channel. It's also broadcast on Channel 21, Monday nights at 8:30, on Comcast 21, Verizon 47. HughShows.com, Hugh Shows Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, all that fun stuff. DeutschtownMusicFestival.org is where you can see the lineup, the updated lineup. I used to have it on my blog, but now if you want to see the lineup, we have like a nice spreadsheet, taking a cue from Millville. I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I when I went to Millville, I was like, this is awesome, and you guys are doing stuff that's like great. I am Hugh Twyman, aka Hugh Shows, and Mr. Bones knows me.